Penei Sewell didn't just rise. He came from a one-bedroom shack in American Samoa and became one of the most dominant players in the NFL. He's not just good, he's one of the best players on the planet. At 6 feet 5 inches, 335 pounds, he entered the league at just 20 years old and completely changed how people look at the offensive tackle position. Welcome. If you enjoy this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. 3 years later, he signed a $112 million contract, becoming the highest-paid player at his position. But the real reason behind his dominance isn't just talent. It's where he came from. Penei, American Samoa. Penei Sewell didn't grow up with trainers, private gyms, or elite programs. We were all just living in that shack, one bedroom, like 8 of us in it. That was home. In a place where the usual way out was the army or football, options were limited. Football started early. Pads, drills, full-contact pickup games on the beach with his brothers. And the crazy part? He didn't even love it at first. He's admitted he got thrown into drills with older kids and didn't enjoy it for a while. Then real pressure hit. Oh man, that was hard. Most definitely hard. I didn't want to move at all. Around age 11, his family left Samoa for St. George after his father suffered serious chest pains. Medical care back home wasn't something you could take chances with. Before leaving, his dad handed him a watch with a photo of their old pink shack inside it. Penei says he looks at it all the time, a reminder of where he started. At Desert Hills High, he wasn't just promising. He was starting varsity at 14. By 15, college offers were flooding in. Alabama, USC, Oregon, everyone wanted him. But when his brother Nephi broke his neck, everything shifted. Paul learned a life rule early. Not every down is guaranteed. They went on to win a state title, and his coach said something that stuck. When the offense came off the field, he talked to Pa first, because Pa saw everything. When Oregon signed him, it wasn't about development. The moment he arrived in 2018, coaches realized something hard to ignore. Their best left tackle was a teenager. I'm not sure I've seen a prospect that flashes more on tape than Sewell. And not teenager, as a fun fact. 17 years old. So young that on draft day years later, it became a story that he couldn't even sign his own paperwork. He started Oregon's first 7 games as a true freshman. In those games, Pro Football Focus graded him at a 0 grade, already ranking him among the best tackles in the country. That's the scary part. Most freshmen are just trying not to get exposed. P was already stacking proof. Then the season tried to humble him. Midway through the year, a high ankle sprain sidelined him for 6 games. A quick reminder that dominance can disappear fast, and your body doesn't care about hype. But even while he was barely a chapter into college football, headlines were already being written. A mid-season New York Times feature made it clear. This freshman was already a big man on campus. In 2019, that's when everything changed. When Pagan came back healthy, he didn't return as a talented young tackle. He came back like he was rewriting the position. Still only a sophomore, and the awards started piling up. Former Desert Hills High School star Penei Sewell was named the 2019 Outland Trophy winner as the nation's best lineman. He became the youngest Outland winner ever and the first Oregon player to take it home. Unanimous All-American. And Oregon didn't just have a good year. They took the Pac-12 and punched their ticket to the Rose Bowl, beating Wisconsin to finish it off. Now here's what separates great from dominant. Pro Football Focus graded Sewell's 2019 season at 95.5. That was one of the highest offensive tackle grades they had ever recorded at the time. And across his entire college career, he was credited with allowing just 1 sack. 1. Out of 1,376 snaps at Oregon, you gave up 1 sack. What even happened on that one play? That's not just solid pass protection. That's wiping out the idea that edge rushers even exist. And remember, he was doing all of this while still growing into his body. Still younger than most juniors, and already dominating. By the end of 2019, Pa had done something most linemen never do. He became the best player on the field without scoring a single point. Then 2020 flipped everything upside down. The Pac-12 schedule was shortened. Nothing felt certain. And Sue, already labeled a generational tackle prospect, had to make the most grown-up decision of his life. In September 2020, he opted out of his junior season to prepare for the NFL draft. It wasn't because he didn't love Oregon. He did. He even looked forward to playing alongside his younger brother Noah, who joined the Ducks in 2020. But that lesson from the watch was already inside him. Not every down is guaranteed. So he chose the future. I didn't really like sitting there and just waiting around, not knowing what was going to happen. So yeah, I opted out, got down here, and started training. That choice turned him into something rare, a 20-year-old offensive lineman with no real questions left. Now all that remained was draft night. Which team would be bold enough to build around a kid who started in a pink shack? Going into the 2021 draft, Penei Sewell wasn't treated like a normal prospect. He was viewed as a cornerstone left tackle, the kind you draft once and don't worry about for the next decade. On draft night, Detroit, deep in a rebuild, did something uncommon. They didn't chase the flashy pick. They chose the foundation. With the 7th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Penei Sewell. With the 7th overall pick, the Lions took Sewell. And inside the building, it was clear this wasn't random. GM Brad Holmes had been watching him since 2019, amazed that you don't find an athlete that size with that mindset every day. He was only 20 years and 202 days old, the youngest first-round pick in Lions history. The league knew it too. Many experts called him a steal at number 7, especially after Cincinnati passed on him at number 5. Detroit fans celebrated like they had just secured their future. Then came the first twist. When he arrived, the Lions already had a left tackle, Taylor Decker, a proven veteran, solid at the position. That meant the so-called franchise left tackle wasn't stepping into comfort. He was stepping into change. Day one, the plan was simple. Decker stays at left tackle. The rookie learns right tackle. Sounds reasonable, until the NFL reminds you it doesn't follow plans. Early on, Sewell's switch showed exactly what you'd expect. Some awkward reps, rust from a year without live football, a preseason where the noise started getting louder. Then week 1 arrived. Decker gets hurt, out with a finger injury. Suddenly, Detroit didn't need a future cornerstone. They needed an emergency left tackle. So in his first NFL game, the 20-year-old rookie gets thrown back to the blind side and matched up with Nick Bosa. That's not a warm welcome. That's a test. And Sewell didn't blink. He kept Bosa without a tackle well into the first half. For most of the day, he allowed almost nothing. So little pressure that even in a loss, his debut became the story. Head coach Dan Campbell praised his composure, pointing out something wild. At just 20 years old, Sewell became the youngest player ever to start at left tackle in an NFL game, and he played like a veteran. You're talking about a young rookie tackle in his first game going against one of the best edge rushers. After the game, Pro Football Focus graded him as Detroit's highest-rated offensive player. Yeah, he survived the toughest first assignment you could imagine. But in the NFL, you don't earn respect just by surviving. You earn it when you refuse to back down. That moment came a few weeks later. Week 7, 2021. Lions vs. Rams. Penei lines up across from Aaron Donald, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, future Hall of Famer, the guy who lives in offensive linemen's nightmares. On one snap, Sewell doesn't just block Donald. He drives him back a full yard and keeps pushing through the whistle. And things get heated. Donald snaps, grabs Sewell's face mask, throws a swing. Now the whole league is watching. And this is where you learn what kind of person Penei is. The 21-year-old rookie doesn't freeze. He grabs Donald's face mask right back and shoves him until teammates pull them apart. On the broadcast, Mark Sanchez said what everyone was thinking. Sewell wasn't backing down. Even Lions veteran Vaitai laughed later and said that's how the young buck makes his name. And Sewell had already shown this was coming. That scuffle wasn't just a viral moment. It was a message. Once Detroit moved him back to right tackle, and he stopped adjusting on the fly, 2022 became the year everything clicked. He didn't look like a tough rookie anymore. He looked like one of the best in the league. He started all 17 games. Detroit's run game leaned on him every week. Swift, Jamal Williams, it didn't matter. If number 58 got his hands on you, you were moving whether you liked it or not. But here's where strong turns into dominant. In pass protection, he was almost spotless. Across 569 pass block snaps, he allowed just 18 total pressures and 1 sack. That's elite-level consistency. And he was only 22. Then came the moment that showed how Detroit really saw him. 2 minutes left in the game. Goff throws it, and it's caught by Penei Sewell. The stadium explodes. Dan Campbell later joked, "What the F are we doing?" But it worked. He even teased that Sue could be a Hall of Fame tight end if he slimmed down. By season's end, Sue was in the Pro Bowl conversation. Detroit finished 9-8, and for the first time in a while, the rebuild felt real. In 2023, the next step was obvious. At just 23 years old, he was voted team captain. Not because he talked the most, but because everyone in that building knew who set the tone. And he played like a captain. He started all 17 games again. According to PFF, he led all NFL tackles with a 92.8 overall grade in 2023. His run-blocking grade was 95.1, the best of any tackle in the league and the second highest run-block grade PFF has recorded since 2008. That's not just a good season. That's turning the right side of your offensive line into a weapon. Detroit played like they believed it. They went 12-5, made the playoffs, and reached the NFC Championship game, a stage the franchise hadn't seen in decades. They fell short in a 34-31 loss to the 49ers. But Sue's status was already sealed. First-team All-Pro, another Pro Bowl selection. His peers ranked him 22nd on the NFL Top 100 for 2024, top 25 in the entire league as an offensive lineman. So after 2023, Detroit didn't hesitate. When a 23-year-old tackle is dominating the league and carrying your franchise deep into January, you don't cross your fingers and hope he stays. You pay him like the future. Breaking news: the Lions agree to a 4-year, $112 million extension with All-Pro tackle Penei Sewell. For years, $112 million. Around $85 million guaranteed. At the time, it made him one of the highest-paid linemen in NFL history and locked him in through 2029. Detroit didn't act like it was a hard choice. Dan Campbell said it plainly. He's the kind of player you build your team around. Then Sue did what real stars do after getting paid. He got better. He repeated as first-team All-Pro in 2024, made another Pro Bowl, and by 2025, he kept stacking it. 3 straight first-team All-Pros from 2023 to 2025, 4 straight Pro Bowls, and 83 out of 83 possible starts without missing a single game. If you still can't see that Penei Sewell is one of the best players in football, not just offensive line, but in football, then I can't help you. And I won't help you. Off the field, he stays grounded. The Sue Strong Foundation focuses on education, mental health, youth opportunity, and his Samoan pride is literally on his arm in a tribal sleeve that represents his culture and beliefs. So when people call Pa Sue dominant, they're not talking about the contract. They're talking about a man who carries that island mindset into every Sunday and proves that games are won in the trenches. It stems from who I am and the time I spent on the island. That's the real story of Pa Sue. He didn't become dominant by chasing highlights. He became dominant by mastering the hardest job in football, protecting everyone else's spotlight. And he did it so well that the league had no choice but to treat him like one. Born in Miami, raised with island toughness, a family that moved for better medical care. Carrying home inside a watch with a photo of their pink shack, he learned early that not every down is guaranteed. Then Oregon at 17, Detroit at 20, facing Boza and Donald head-on, switching sides, taking heat, and still becoming the backbone of a contender. If you want more NFL stories like this, subscribe and comment who you want next.